One starting word, wisdom versus liberation, right? Because that's really what yoga is. I just wanted to discuss one single sutra with everyone. We already went through the 8 limbs of yoga. We talked a little bit about mindfulness when we first met each other. But today I wanted to discuss a sutra from Sutra 27 from book 2 in the Yoga Sutras. So, of course, we know that I enjoy both interpretations of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So I'm going to read Satchidananda's translation, and then I'll read Nischala Joy Devi's translation, and then we'll talk about how we can interpret them differently. So, Book 2, Sutra 27, according to Satchidananda, is: one's wisdom in the final stage is sevenfold. One experiences the end of the desire to know anything more, the desire to stay away from anything, the desire to gain anything new, the desire to do anything, sorrow, fear, or delusion. So we get once we know we are wise when we recognize those 7 things. One experiences the end of the desire to know anything more, the desire to stay away from anything, the desire to gain anything new, the desire to do anything, sorrow, fear, delusion. Once again, lots of words jammed up together that don't connect always. And sometimes it takes you a long time to recognize where the punctuation is. All of that stuff makes it hard for us to interpret and imprint on our lives, and also is open to a lot of misinterpretation. So Nischala Joy Devi writes the same sutra as liberation is recognized in 7 ways. We no longer feel the need for knowledge, to stay away from anything or anyone, to gather material things, or to act. And our constant companions are joy, faith, and clarity. Still, a lot of different ideas jammed up in together, but that one starting word, wisdom versus liberation, right? Because that's really what yoga is. It's a liberation from the systems. It's a liberation from the cycle of life, of the struggling, of the suffering. Because remember, the 4 simple truths are: life is uncomfortable. Desire causes discomfort. It's possible to end discomfort. Meditation and the 8-fold path can end discomfort. So those are the 4 simple truths, right? And if that is what we're going for, is to end discomfort, why wouldn't we want to be free, right? So when first reading this sutra, when I started my yoga, my own exploration into yoga and my teacher training, really, that didn't make any sense. One's wisdom in the final stage is sevenfold. Okay, I get that. 7 things have to happen in order for me to be wise. End of desire for new information. But that doesn't, what do you mean? Because on one hand, you told me I had to keep studying. Because self-study is a thing that we need to do in order to practice yoga. What am I studying if I don't need new knowledge, right? But it's not the same as striving to be proven, to prove of having proof of knowledge. It's not the same as wanting to learn this new thing, to learn all sides of a thing. It's not the same as contemplating. It's not a reaching, a grasping. It's a flow of information inward. That is the difference between that study, Aishwarya Pranadhana, that Svadhyaya, the self-study that is required of us in our practice. It's not the same as this search for knowledge, a search for information. Self-study is more about a search for that connection to who we are, to the divine. It's an unlearning of the things that we learn that separate us from each other, from the divine light that is within. And this liberation that she speaks of, wisdom that he speaks of, is when we recognize that that information, that knowledge is not an outward seek, it's an internal seeking, right? That's what they mean by the desire for anything new. There's no new information. Whenever we are self-studying in our yoga practice, it's a unfurling of what is already inside of us. When we talk about our intuitive knowledge, it is our ancestral knowledge. It is often a forgetting of the things that we were told in our Judeo-Christian ideology that has told us that our ancestral ways are not correct. Guess what? Yoga is an ancestral practice. Just like the Druids and all of that other ancestral stuff. It's a relearning of who we are to the bones of us, all the way through and through. And I think that that's why liberation resonates with me a little bit more than wisdom as a concept. Because really, I want to be free. That's why I practice yoga. It took me a long time to recognize that that really is why I love it. Because in this practice, I find a freedom that I'm not allowed to have out in the world. I feel my body exactly as it is. I feel my thoughts. I feel my breath. I recognize all that I am, good, bad, otherwise. I'm allowed to do that in yoga without any pretense. It's not a practice of telling me any part of me is less than. No, you are never less than in yoga. Yoga is about recognizing all that you are and moving with that. That's why it's for everybody. That's why it's all these different ways for us to practice, these 8 different ways for us to practice. That's also why that one single asana is so prevalent here in the West, because it's so controlled, right? It's very objective. I get objective and subjective mixed up sometimes, but it's because we can see it and you can say, hey, it's very black and white. That body is too big, so it shouldn't be doing that. This body is small. This is the good body. Fuck that. All the bodies are good. Whatever you can do with it, you can do with it. It doesn't matter. That's why we have to practice all of the yogas, not just the asana. That's why we have to read. We have to study. We have to get into all of it so that we can actually live it. Because guess what? Yoga is not going to work for you if you're only doing it in the studio once a week, twice a week, whatever, for an hour. Because your teacher can't give you all of it in that hour. I could give you what I can. But if you really want to practice, it's up to you to go out and do it. Not just about your body. It's about all of this. It's about finding that way to live and liberation and being free and passing that freedom along to everybody. So I'm going to read them again. Liberation is recognized in 7 ways. We no longer feel the need for knowledge because we recognize that it's already in here. So I'm just remembering. It's not striving for anything new. It's a relearning of the stuff that I already know to be true. We no longer feel the need to stay away from anything or anyone because everything is good, whatever. You are who you are. I am who I am. And that means that I'm the safety. Every space is safe for me because I'm in it. I create my own safety. I don't need you to validate me or to ensure that my presence is approved, because if I'm there, that means I approve of the presence. Simple as that. I'm not worried about how or if I'm being received a certain way because I'm moving in a way that is light. We no longer feel the need to gather material things. I got what I got. Yes, we all need stuff, but I only need the stuff that I need to survive. Doesn't have to be the most expensive anything. Does it serve its purpose? That's all that matters. But also, too, am I selling myself short and giving myself cheap things and not enjoying what I have, using the fruits of my labor to continue in my life? Am I living in a trash situation simply because I'm too afraid to spend the money that I've earned with my hard work? That part. Because you're not worried about where anything is coming from if you're free. Liberation is recognized when we no longer feel the need to act, and our constant companions are joy, faith, and clarity. I don't got to do nothing but do what I'm supposed to do, because all that is mine is already mine. The abundance is here. I am already worthy of the things that are called to me. So I don't have to strive for nothing. I just have to do my work. Simple as that. I have to show up and do my work with honesty and integrity, leading with love, and eventually everything that is mine will come to me. That's freedom. That's liberation. Also, wisdom. Well, that's all I got for now. If you liked it, great. If not, that's cool too. Until next time, be well.